There we go. Good evening. It is Tuesday, the 14th of December at 7 o'clock, and the Park and Rec Commission will come to order. Mary, will you do a roll call for us, please?
Sure. Chair David Downs,
Here.
Vice Chair Jason Branch,
Here.
Elizabeth Wyveen, Georgianne Keyport,
Here.
Zach Saressig,
Here.
Danielle Hai, Carly Sitch,
Here.
Jalen Destin.
Thanks, Mary. Next item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Any comments to the agenda? Is there a motion to adopt?
I motion to adopt.
Second.
Zach, second.
You'll get the next one.
Georgianne, motion.
Jan was
Zach,
first.
seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is adopted. Visitor presentation. Seeing none, we'll close out that item. Approval of minutes. First on is the Park Board meeting of October 12th. Any comments on the minutes? Motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
I
Motion by
second.
Jason,
Oh,
second by Carly.
not a turn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, receiving council and planning meeting minutes. There's a lot of them because we missed last time. I've got a comment on one of them. The very last one, the planning meeting, there was a statement in there that I found odd, and maybe you can help me out with this one. It says, Ringwald stated they are starting the master planning process for the city park. And they're talking about the 51-acre plot that's going to be turned into the city park.
Yep.
How is the planning board involved in that?
So my guess is the context of that statement probably had to do with a concept plan that they were reviewing for some development that's occurring along the edge of that future park. And
They were, in fact. but-
Okay, yeah. So my guess is there was probably just a general question about what's going to be in the park.
But the
And-
planning board is not going to be so much involved in the actual planning of the park
No.
and laying out the park.
No, they'll probably have some involvement in just sort of generally understanding what's going in there throughout the process, but that's gonna be a park board, initiated
Yeah.
plan. But I could see if there were things, if there happens to be like structures within the park, there could be some code and ordinance things that need to get handled through the planning commission.
Yeah, there was some comments in there about the development in the area and how there's a plan for a ballpark and lights, and that needed to be screened from the neighborhood, so there was some discussion on that.
Yeah, so there has been previous discussions a while ago as it relates to this park for it to incorporate a miracle league field.
Right.
And I believe there's even been some fundraising efforts in the past to support that. And I think in general, the thought was always that more than likely there's gonna be some type of athletic fields incorporated into this community park. And just from the outset, wanted to make people aware that they would be lit fields. And that's really key on the front end, so as people are buying homes adjacent to the park, they know that someday that there's gonna be lights and it's not a surprise.
Yep,
Because that can always be, it could be a controversial item, and it's very difficult, you know, to go into a park that doesn't have lights and, you know, completely surrounded by housing and, you know, incorporate lights. So this is kind of the opportunity where it's a blank slate and we can set that expectation on the front end, so it's not a surprise in the future.
Okay. Any other comments on any of the meeting minutes? Hearing none, we will accept the minutes. We don't need a approval motion. Discussion items. Item 7A, reappointment of Park Commission, 2022.
All right. Well, good evening, Commission. Welcome to what feels like spring on this December day, huh? So yeah, the first item in front of us is talking about our Parks and Recreation Commission and the appointments. So this is always the time of year where we evaluate which commission members are due to renew, because terms are 3 years, and then commissioners have the option of renewing up to 2 more times for a total of 9 consecutive years to serve on the commission. So we have 2 individuals on our commission, Elizabeth Wyveen and Jalen Destin, who are both at that point to renew. So we're hopeful that that's of interest to them, and they've already been supplied the application to submit their interest. And then also, in addition to those 2, we also have 2 other vacancies on the board. So if you recall, that would be Ernesto Gutierrez's former chair, and then Thomas Hassey's former chair. So those two seats, along with all of the other openings that are available on the other city commissions, are being advertised and promoted through the city. They are actually doing it a little bit differently this year. Typically, it was just done through like a PDF form that was arranged through our city clerk, but now we're sort of treating it like you're applying for a city job. And so there's a way to go in through our website and apply for the commission applications, and it's utilizing our NeoGov system. So it'll be a lot more easier for our HR department to track the applications coming in. So we're trying to get the word out that these opportunities are available to serve on the commissions. The deadline for the applications is December 27th. And then our city clerk will follow up with applicants between December 28th and 30th to then line up interviews with city council. And so city council will conduct interviews as part of work sessions prior to their council meetings on January 3rd and January 24th. And then they typically will make their decisions and appoint at a meeting in February. So I know you all are, you know, advocates of the park board, and, you know, I encourage you to, you know, promote this as well to people that you may know in the community or through your networks, and encourage them to apply. One thing too that we talked about at our agenda review last week with Dave and Jason was the option to even create a little video. And I know Jason raised his hand willingly and said he'd be willing to speak to it. But if there's any of you others that would just like to mention a few words, we can stay after the meeting tonight and have Michelle in our communications department just capture a couple sentences, just talking about your experience on the board, and then we can use that as another way to get that out and promote the opportunity to serve on the Park and Recreation Commission. And then additionally, every year too, the city council appoints the chair and the vice chair. And so that's done actually every year. And at our agenda review, both Dave and Jason expressed a willingness and an interest to continue to serve in their roles. But this is also that opportunity if anybody else feels like they would like to serve in that role, or if you feel like you would like to nominate somebody else into one of those roles, that's certainly an option. And so what we'll plan to do is, that's actually an action item, so we'll plan to do that at our meeting in January, where we'll formally make that recommendation on the chair and co-chair to go to the city council for their approval. Any questions on it, on any of that? Okay.
Yeah, I would think that, you know, anybody that would like to, you know, be the chair, I would entertain that. You know, I'm not, you know, cemented to this seat, you know, if, you know, new people, good things happen, so.
You've done a really good job this year. You should keep doing it.
Well, thanks, but, you know, like I said, if somebody's really interested, I'm all for it. I'd love to stay on the board and help them out if they want to take the spot, so. That's all I got on this.
I do want to keep mine and don't want to give it up, so if you guys would mind. just-
All right, we're clear.
Arm wrestling on that one.
I motion that we keep chair and co-chair as it is.
That's funny.
Okay. Community Center Master Plan update, Marshall.
All right. So another exciting master plan that we're about to embark on, and I know we've had some conversation about this earlier in the year, just anticipating this happening. And so we're kind of at that point now where we're officially getting things going. I actually gave a presentation to the city council at their meeting a week ago, just talking through what the plan's going to entail, what the process is going to look like, and then also to get their authorization to solicit RFPs for an architectural firm as part of the process. So that was good discussion, got a lot of good feedback from the city council. So kind of just talking about why are we doing this? As you recall, the community center turned 30 years old this year. So it's really a celebratory year, but I think it's also just a really good kind of opportunity to realize all the past success, but, you know, needing to take a look at what this facility is going to be in the future. The reality is it is 30 years old, you know, making it sort of an aging facility. I think we as staff, we is not really me, it's all the other staff in the department and the people before me, have done a great job of really maintaining that facility with very limited resources. And I think we've done really good at making the things that are visual to our members and patrons look really good. But the reality is, behind the scenes, there's some significant challenges ahead of us. There really has not been a funding source to account for the depreciation of that facility over the past 30 years. So when we're now starting to see some major components fail because they've reached or beyond their life expectancy, it's required us to turn into reactive mode. And that's really the opportunity here, is creating a plan that can put us on a course where we can be more proactive and really think about the sustainability of this, wonderful community asset into the future. I'd say the other key thing too is over 30 years, recreation trends change. And so, a big part of this process will be engaging our members and engaging the community on, what they see as recreational needs and how that might need to look differently within the facility. Based on that feedback, what would we need to do to, remodel or expand or reallocate space, things like that. And then I think as we're looking at this too, we really want to look even outside the walls of the community center and factor in the parking, and see if we can't come up with, re-engineering that parking lot or figuring out how we can expand it. Really thinking about the flow of traffic in and out of the building, looking at things like security and technology and things like that, because that's all new and different compared to 30 years ago. So I really see us looking at three concepts, so to speak. What would it look like just to maintain the facility as it is, and just bringing the existing, functional components and large capital up to speed. I think the second thing would be, how would we possibly remodel spaces within the walls and reconfigure things? And then I think the third one would be, what would it look like if we were to actually expand onto the building? If we really think we need more or different space added onto it, and what's the feasibility of that, and what could it look like? And obviously, what are the financial ramifications that come with all that, and what are some of our strategies going to be to fund any one of those concepts going forward?
Is there a official projection for the population of the city going forward?
I don't know. I'm assuming there is, but some of the things I know that I've heard in some meetings I've been at would be right around 40,000.
And we're at
I think we're at like 26 right now.
26?
Yeah, so about another 15,000, I think, is about where we'll end up.
So it's over a 50% growth.
Yeah, yep.
I think that's going to be the real challenge is, what do we want to be when we grow up, and do we want to accommodate the entire city in that one facility?
Yeah. And I think over time we'll see, Carver someday will be more populated than Chaska. Same with Victoria. So it's interesting you bring that up, as, we think into the future, just how much growth is going to be, just our neighboring cities and even further to the west.
We don't have a large population from Carver taking advantage of the community center at this point, do we?
We have a pretty decent amount. I mean, that's part of our recreation agreement that we have with
Right,
them.
I know
So
that.
they do have that access and the ability to pay the resident rate. But overall, it's still a smaller percentage compared to the
Is it like
whole
10%
membership.
of our overall membership, or is it like?
Probably right around 10, maybe a little bit less, 8 to 10. Yep.
Yeah, I wonder if they would be interested in participating with the eye on their population growth as well. You know, what could the two cities combined come up with for plans
Yep,
for the long term? Because, you know, I don't think the community center is gonna be big enough, you know, if we really wanna do it well for the community.
yep.
And, you know, if Carver wants to really step up, you know, and we could help, you know, so that would be ideal.
Is there any more acreage to expand out in the current footprint or
Not much.
go up? Or- Yeah.
I
Seems
think you
rather
go
tight.
up.
You'd probably have to go up more than anything.
Yeah.
We did look at, a couple of years ago, the hockey community was really advocating for a third sheet of ice. And so we brought in an architect just to do a real simple feasibility analysis, and there could be the ability to go off of our second sheet of ice towards Engler, you know, but then you're dealing with that slope.
Yes.
So it becomes pretty expensive, you know, and then we gotta start thinking about the various setbacks and things like that. But there was room to do that.
Is it Chanhassen and Chaska that use the 2 sheets of ice right now? Is it the
Yeah.
Chaska?
Yep, it's the Chaska Hawks, the boys' home ice,
Okay,
and then the Chaska Chan girls,
Okay,
the
that's what
Storm
it is.
Hawks. They kind of split between us and Victoria.
okay.
And then, you know, we've got Breakaway Academy
Yeah,
uses it, and then the Chaska Youth Hockey Association. They're our largest renters in the facility.
yeah,
And then the Figure Skating Club.
yep.
So, yeah. We typically, throughout the primary winter months, we're running at about 95% capacity across both sheets of ice.
Hmm.
So,
Victoria just has the rec center, their rec center for ice, or what else do they have in Victoria? Or is it just that?
yeah,
Or is it even the rec center that they have? Where is their ice at?
yeah, it's connected to that community
Is
center.
it on that? Okay.
Yep, yep. And that's actually a school district.
Yeah,
facility.
ECCS owns that,
Yep.
or built that, yeah, that's
Yep.
right.
Those communities, as they grow, decide to build their own community center. That certainly would impact what we do. Have they do you know, they have any plans to do something on their own?
Yeah, I don't know about what Victoria's, I mean, Victoria already has a community center. Whether or not they expand it down the road, you know, I'm not exactly sure. Chanhassen technically has one as well.
Yep.
It's part of-
Carver, they
it's part of their
don't.
school. Carver doesn't, and that's why we have the
Yeah.
joint agreement, and so,
Are they working on a master plan of any sort?
no,
Okay.
no. And I think that was, some of the thought that went into that partnership was the fact that we are, such close neighbors, it wouldn't make sense to duplicate facilities. And so that would free up, you know, Carver to maybe invest in other types of recreational resources. You know, that then Chaska residents could benefit from as well, so.
Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are the ice arena and the rinks, is that a large part of the income for the community center? Like the rink usage and all?
It generates,
component.
a pretty high percentage of our overall revenue,
Yeah,
but if you look at the expense,
sure,
it's probably about a break even.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, maybe this is one of the, I mean, I'm sure this is, you know, once we start getting the team together for the comp plan, but would there be an option to maybe just create a nice facility between the three cities, Carver, Chaska, and Victoria. Because then that would open up a whole wing of our community center for, you know, quite a bit of space.
Uderman brought that up once
Did
before
he
he left.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
He mentioned something similar to that idea, though, and that's always stuck in the back of my mind, is that
right.
it's less invasive for expanding the space for the existing programming at the community center, but you'd have to move all the ice out.
Yeah.
So you lose all that income, but you lose all the expense as well. But
Well, and I assume that, you know, I don't know what condition that, you know, those components are from the arenas and the ice facilities, but that could easily be transferred to, you know, other facilities and utilized, keeping costs down on that end as well. But I'm sure that's something that, you know, get
Yeah.
delved more into the,
Yeah, those will be the interesting,
Yeah.
you know, things for us to be thinking about as
Yeah.
we.
Yeah, it's going to be a
Well,
great
it's planned.
project. Yeah, it's going to be,
yeah.
you know.
I had something to add. I went through a similar process at White Bear. I will put the caveat that I was on the swim team and I was very invested in getting us a pool. But they ended up making this really great partnership with the YMCA, not saying that the community center should be a YMCA, but the YMCA partnered with the school district, and they kind of ended up creating almost like a community-like center, using the old YMCA base, and they made it into this really great building and was able to expand on like programming and like have that partnership with the school district. The school district provided some funding for that as well, and some private swim teams, I know, put in money to the pool. So it was just kind of like a mishmash of funding for that. And they also went in to get, because I mean, in White Bear had like the similar issue where we didn't have a lot of ice. And so they ended up relocating the ice to a local city, Vadnais Heights, and having that kind of partnership with them. So it ended up being a good project, and like the YMCA ended up being like the host for like the school district's like pool and stuff like that. So it was a good, I don't know, so it was just an interesting project to like look into, I guess, because they used a pre-existing building and built out.
Yeah, yeah, and I think developing these plans, and really thinking about the future creates those opportunities to
Yeah.
talk with your partners and see what they're thinking, and, you know, all with the idea of how do we best serve the community,
Yeah.
you know? So, a few more things just to share with you about kind of where we're at with the plan so far. So, RJM Construction Company will be the construction manager throughout this process. The city has utilized them in the past and has done a really good job. And they'll be working with them on some other city facility projects, so there's that ability to create some efficiencies and consistencies across our facilities as we go forward. I have put together a city staff project team, a cross-departmental team that'll work on this project. So we've got Aaron Link, who's our recreation program manager, John Schmidt, who works in community development and is a building official, Julie Janke from our police department, who's our community partnership specialist, Kelly Grinnell in our administrative services, she's our finance manager, Kelsey McNutt, who's our community center manager, Kevin Wright, our communications manager, the Mary Monteith, part of the team, Matt Podorowski, our city administrator, Nate Cabot, who a lot of you know as our assistant city administrator, but as of recent, he's actually going to be taking on a new role in the city in January. He's going to be our community development director. So he is taking the spot of Kevin Ringwald because he's going to be retiring. And then we've got Nick Hartwig, who's in our Public Works Department and is our facility maintenance foreman. So good variety of staff across multiple departments, you know, and then they can get input and feedback from their respective staff to bring to the table as we're working through this. And then as part of this project too, we'll also be putting together a citizen task force. So we really want to make sure that we're involving people to represent the community as part of this project. And so those positions we've identified to have representation from the various commissions. So we'll have 2 city council members. We're going to have 2 Parks and Recreation commissioners, 1 Human Rights Commissioner, 1 Planning Commissioner. Ideally, we'd like to have 2 people from the, represented from the school district. There again, talking about kind of these partnerships, you know, we're ultimately talking about recreational facilities, and the schools have such facilities as well. So I think it's good for them to understand what it is we're trying to accomplish through the community center, but then what is that, you know, sort of coordination of things we're able to offer the community respectively. And then we'll have spots available for 4 community center members and then 4 general community members. So 16 in total. Our goal is, you know, to ensure that we've got a variety of people coming from different backgrounds, different experiences, young, old, people with people with kids, people without, you know, everything in between, to just have a really well-rounded representation of our community. So we'll also have that further discussion at our meeting in January. So I'll be asking you all to make your recommendation on which 2 of you would like to serve on the citizen task force to represent the commission, and then to bring that to the city council. As far as those other general openings, we have an online application already created. That's already available on the Chaska Community Center's webpage. It's kind of the top ribbon right at the top. I did a video with Kevin Wright, so that should be coming out on social media here shortly, just to promote that opportunity. We'll also be sending it through our listserv to our community center members. We'll send it to our subscription list for our Parks and Recreation updates. And then just between staff and other people, spreading the word to people they know individually. So that application is available through January 30th. That'll be the deadline for people to apply for that opportunity. And then, as I mentioned, we got authorization from City Council to move ahead with soliciting RFPs for architectural services. Those were actually sent out December 7th. Sent them directly to 11 different architectural firms, and it's also available on our city webpage as well. The deadline for the proposals to be received is January 7th, and we're actually conducting pre-proposal meetings for the architects. So we have one coming up this Thursday afternoon, and then we're having one next week, Monday morning, and then Monday afternoon. So the architects have the option to attend those. I'll give it kind of a presentation on what it is we're looking to accomplish and highlight some of the key things in the RFP. And then our plans to really take them on a robust facility tour, show them around, and then see what questions they may have to help them put together their proposal. The project management team will then review those proposals and conduct any necessary interviews throughout the remainder of January. And then I'll bring back a recommendation to the Park and Rec Commission at your meeting in February. So then it would be going to City Council at their second meeting in February, along with the recommendations for the various people to serve on that citizen task force, for them to appoint as well. So cross our fingers, everything goes smoothly. I know that's sort of a pretty tight timeline, but if that all goes as planned, ideally we're kicking off, kind of officially kicking off this project, you know, with the various teams, late February, early March.
You know, one of the things we should probably do at the next meeting is not only for this group to have 2 commissioners on it, we should probably outline the other opportunities that are coming down the pike too, for commissioners to participate. Because we don't want, you know, we want to spread the wealth here and use their resources that we've got, okay, in the different things. So there's several different things that within the next several months are going to take some time and a little bit of dedication and a lot of fun to participate in these things.
Good point. Any questions on the community center master plan?
Is there a estimated date as to when you would have a master plan? How long does that process take?
I think ideally we're shooting for this to, I mean, I don't like putting, I mean, I always would rather err on like taking as much time as it needs to do it right, but I think we should have I think ideally I think I've learned with our pedestrian and bike plan, that one's been going on a little long too. And it creates, you know, a decent amount of work to just kind of keep people engaged. But I think COVID and a variety of things play into that too, and so that's just part of our reality right now. But I'm thinking 6 to 8 months, somewhere in there. If you know, if we got some good momentum and
Well, one of the,
the architectural firm, you know, that we end up with, I think is really going to drive a lot of that, you know, and turning around the community, you know, the results from the various community engagement we get, and, you know, and starting to put those ideas down into concepts for us to talk through.
Yeah, so really before the end of the year, 2022.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
yeah, because some of the funding, of course, is going to have to be earmarked if we're going to move forward in 2023 with this opportunity, you know. So I think that'll probably set the deadline, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I think, you know, what we're going to end up with is a concept that has the associated estimated costs with it.
Right.
You know, and then our general strategy on how we would go about financing it. You know, and then from there, it's figuring out how do we then implement that? How do we actually get that financing, and then, you know, ultimately hire either the architect we worked with or a different one to actually create the construction plans and the detailed drawings, you know, and then that all goes out to bid where you get the real cost, you know, and so one of the hopes is the architectural firm we hire as part of this process has got a good, you know, record of estimating costs. Because we need to be able to plan around that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. You know, and we need this to be a plan that it is implementable. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't create something that is just gonna be too difficult to finance, you know, and unachievable. So I think that's gonna be, that's gonna really be my message in the pre-proposal meetings. You know, is we wanna dream and we wanna account for the, you know, what the future can hold, but it's gotta be realistic.
Yeah, and I would assume that the plan would not be funded completely within the first couple of years. The plan is probably gonna say, okay, this is what we're gonna do for the
Yeah.
next 3 years, and then after that, here's phase 2, and after that, there's phase 3, and
Yep,
so you can really lay out where this whole thing is gonna go without choking on the cost of it up front.
yep,
By the time you get to part 5, you're already fixing part 1.
Right, it's just a continuing role, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it though, too, is, you know, these things that are implemented, and like you said, it's great to dream, but you also gotta think of those maintenance costs, you know, what's it gonna take to keep this going? How long is that gonna last? And, yeah, there's a lot to be thought of. It's pretty exciting stuff.
yeah, so the people 30 years from now aren't dealing with the same challenges we are, right?
They'll be cussing us.
They'll look at our picture up on the wall and just like, there's that commission.
Yeah.
That's where we have done, like, you know, shooting, you know.
Okay, can we move
do that,
on to naming rights?
Yep. So, as you recall, your recommendation to city council was for us to move forward with the superlative group. With that, we felt like we wanted to work with the superlative group on the professional services agreement and bring that as part of it to the city council for their approval, just so that they would be comfortable with the elements that would be within that agreement. So we did have our city attorney review that, and throughout that process, it was determined that it would be in our best interest to also have our bond counsel review it, just to make sure, especially as you recall, our initial focus is gonna be with the curling and event center. We wanna make sure that, that facility is eligible to pursue revenues from naming rights and sponsorship, because it is hinged on the type of financing that was used for that facility, because bonds are public dollars. But through that review process, it was determined that the city did utilize taxable bonds. Therefore, we are able to pursue this type of revenue. So it was good to get that understanding. But that process took a while. The individual that was reviewing that was out for a period of time. So the process took a little longer than anticipated. But the city attorney's comments and edits, I've sent to the superlative group for their review. And then literally I just got a response back from them a few hours before this meeting tonight. At quick glance, it looks like they just had a few questions. So I'll be following up with them and solidifying that. And then I'll coordinate with our our city administrator as to which meeting to bring that forward to the city council. It won't be their next one on December 20th. It would be either January 3rd or the 24th is what I'll anticipate. So I'll make sure to keep you informed, Dave and Zach, to be able to attend that meeting once we have that discussion. So that's moving along.
Good.
So, question, I missed the last month's meeting, so I might be behind on all this, but is there, so we're moving down this path, we have this firm who's going to research opportunities for people or entities that might want to purchase the rights to the name. Is it a foregone conclusion we will do that if they find someone, or is one of the options to say, based on the arrangement, we would pass on that opportunity?
Yep, yeah.
Okay, so this is really, we're just,
Yeah, so what the first phase of the project, you know, should the city council move ahead and hire them as a consultant, would be for them to conduct a valuation. It's called a valuation, an evaluation essentially, where they're looking at the curling and event center. We'd probably have them take a look at the community center. We may have them look at some other park and recreation elements throughout the community. And they then have the expertise, and there's a variety of formulas they use to basically come back with a report informing us, this is what we think the value of a naming rights opportunity could be for this, this, and this. So that'll be the first thing we need to sort of agree on. And then if we feel comfortable with taking the next step, we would then also work with them on identifying what are the companies, or especially categories maybe we're most interested in partnering with, that would provide a good, like, value add, ideally, to the particular facility. And then we also have the ability to ensure that the superlative group knows what categories we wouldn't want to partner with. You know, obviously tobacco or alcohol or anything like that. But then they would go out and start having those conversations and presenting that opportunity to those corporations. And then as they start, if there happens to be a level of interest and it starts becoming a little more serious discussion, the city will still always have that ability to approve it or not. So any agreement that comes out of it ultimately would have to get approved by our city council.
And they would have a public comment. There'd be some sort of public opportunity for people to weigh in on that, just
Yeah,
community
at
members,
the
right?
city council meeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
I forgot to ask this question before. Are we legally obligated to use the funds for specific uses? Like if we take in, $50,000 for naming rights, are we legally obligated to use that money for a very specific purpose, or can the city use it for whatever it wants?
I don't think we're legally obligated. That's a good question, but I think it's in our best interest to identify how we would use them, because that really is part of the story
Yeah,
as to why we're pursuing
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
this, different revenue source altogether. And so I think that helps get the community a little more behind it, and even potentially the partner.
Mhm.
as to why they would want to partner on that type of,
Yeah, we had those
Project.
discussions early on in the thing, and it's critical that the funds be used for the curling center. You know, that you don't want to raise money in the curling center and put it in the general fund.
Right, that
You
would,
know, that would
make.
be the kiss of death
Yeah.
for any programs going forward, so. You know, the city council has agreed to that. You know, is it legal, you know, requirement? Probably not, but I think it's something that, you know, would be,
Yeah.
it'll be done, I'm sure.
I'm sure part of that deal too is how to back out of it too. If, you know, the reputation of the firm whose name's on our building somehow goes south, we need to have an exit strategy there.
absolutely, and you know, that's
Our
always a concern, and it's a real concern, and that's also plays into the, you know, the decision on the front end, you know, as to what is the, you know, what is maybe, you know, certain businesses may present more of a risk than others. You know, but yeah, that's sort of a calculated decision we need to make, but absolutely, and that's another reason why we want to work with the superlative group, because they've got experience with that, and there will be specific clauses in any such agreement where, you know, the city would be able to back out if needed.
Okay. Good. Next item on the agenda is pedestrian and bicycle master plan.
All right, so this has been another exciting project, and we keep making progress. So kind of where we're currently at is the project steering committee is reviewing initial drafts of the chapters within the plan. And so Antonio, our consultant with the community design group, has completed, I believe, 8 chapters now, out of, I think there's going to be 11, possibly 12 chapters. So they're currently reviewing that. There's a specific link that's available to them, and they're able to provide comments and feedback through an online PDF form. That's going to continue through the remainder of the month, and then the remaining chapters will get added to their plate for their review. We also have our next project steering committee meeting next week, Tuesday, in the evening. So we'll be able to connect with Antonio on that. That'll be another Zoom one, but I did talk with Antonio, and we are going to plan for a project steering committee meeting in January to be in person. And a big reason for that will be well, let me get to that in a second. So, project steering committee review the plan, probably finish up in end of December or early January. Once they're done, then that plan, the entire draft will be available to city staff. So it'll open up to city staff for their review and feedback throughout the month of January. And then in February, we'll then, and as obviously the project steering committee and the city staff are providing comments and feedback, Antonio is updating the plan accordingly. So once those updates have been accounted for, then in February, the draft of the plan will be available for the community to review on the project website, which is walkbikechaska.org, and we'll create awareness for people to go out there and check that out and provide comment. And then also in the month of February, we'll be planning a community open house. We're looking at the second or third week in February, ideally on a Thursday. We'll host it. We're looking into the event center, curling and event center. And so that'll be something that the project steering committee will discuss at their January meeting in person, and kind of shaping what that open house event will look like. So, and then after that, really then a lot of the feedback will be accounted for. We'll then look to coordinate, I'm thinking a joint work session with the park board and city council, and with Antonio, to kind of talk about the whole plan and the process and highlight it, and see what types of kind of last kind of minute feedback or comments the Parks and Rec Commission and City Council has. But if that's all a go, otherwise he'll make any necessary adjustments, but just kind of want to make sure that once we bring it forward in the very end, that, you know, it's going to be supported and all the comments and feedback have been accounted for. So it'll come through to the park board for your recommendation, and then to city council for final approval, estimating sometime probably end of March, in that time frame. So a lot of great work has been done throughout this whole year, and so now it's just making sure we finish strong and cross that finish line, and, you know, end up with another great plan that can set us up for some good improvements throughout our community to make walking and biking, you know, safer and an easy option for people, you know, and that'll be through, you know, upgrades to our infrastructure, but also looking into a lot of things with, that we can do with programming and encouragement and things like that, so.
There was an article in the paper several days ago about Stillwater getting their bike-friendly thing, that they were at the bronze level and they were touting it. And it's, you know, but that's a great town for biking, you know, they've got a gazillion bikes there all the time.
Yeah.
It's, and they cited how many cities in Minnesota had that, not necessarily the level, but had bike-friendly credentials, and I think there was 33 or something like that. It was a goodly number.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so there's interest all over the place in that stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, active transportation more and more is becoming really looked at and valued in a lot of cities, so I think Chaska's just we already got such a great foundation of trails, you know, and so to me, this is just a plan that kind of builds on that and can get us to that next level.
Okay. Department happenings.
All right.
7E.
Yeah, we'll highlight a few things that staff have been working on. So our winter spring activity guide is out. That came out earlier this week, or last week, I mean, and just again, kudos to our staff that work on that. As you recall, we used to contract that all out, and we brought it all in-house. And so staff have really embraced it and done a good job. This was our second activity guide now that has been done in-house, and from what I understand, it you know, we learned a lot the first time, and it was a little bit smoother, and they've even kind of enhanced it further. So definitely take a look at it. I think it looks great, so I'm very proud of them. New cardio equipment at the community center. So our previous equipment was under lease, and the lease was was up, so we renewed that lease and got all new equipment in. As you know, due to COVID, we had spread out all of our cardio equipment throughout our lower gym to make everybody feel comfortable. We have made the decision to kind of start bringing things back a little bit, so we did move our cardio equipment into a half court. And so we're now able to pull down the half-court curtain and make the other half available for some of our other gym programming. One thing we have realized in evaluating our memberships over the last year is our biggest gap right now from pre-COVID to now is a reduction in family memberships. It's sort of interesting that when you look at our membership units, we're actually above where we were pre-COVID, but it's the number of members where we're down, and that has to do with a lot of individuals are signing up, but families aren't signing up. And we think that has a lot to do with the unavailability of a gym, along with some of our reduced open swim times, which is really a factor of just a shortage of lifeguards. So we're working on trying to build up, our lifeguards to be able to bring some more of our pool programming back, but we're also trying to figure out how we can transition into opening up that entire lower gym. So one thing we're looking at is converting one of our racquetball courts. We currently have 2 racquetball courts. So we'd put in a rubber flooring and some mirrors and bring our free weight equipment that's in our fitness center out of there and into the racquetball court. And then that would free up some more space in our fitness center to bring our cardio equipment from the gym into the fitness center. And then free up our entire lower gym for a lot of the programming that we've missed over the years. So we'll see. We're running into some challenges with that court conversion due to some ADA things as it relates to the width of the current door going into there, but we continue to just try to strategize, and like I was telling Zach earlier tonight, it's difficult. It's like we're threading a needle with making sure people still feel comfortable, but also trying to maximize our usage and get our memberships back, just from a revenue perspective as well. So we're working on those types of things. The community center staff put on an open house this last weekend on Saturday. So it's an opportunity to invite the public in for free and experience the community center and try things out. I think those that came, feedback was great. Overall, it was a little lower in attended than anticipated, but I think that had to do with our snow event. People were probably tired just shoveling out from the morning and figured that was their exercise. But we'll look into doing some more of those again in the future. Another thing I think I've shared with you in the past is this pilot program we've been putting on to encourage middle schoolers and teens to come over to the community center after school. And we're utilizing the lodge. It's sort of the initial meetup spot. And then from there, we have different activities that they can do throughout the facility. But it's been a huge success. We've just been offering it on Wednesdays because we weren't sure what the response would be. But we're getting anywhere from 40 to 60 kids coming over after school. And while it's very positive, it's also, again, we weren't planning for that either. So you can imagine 60 rambunctious teenagers that have been sitting in a chair throughout school most of the day. They got a little excitement to them, and it takes staff to kind of make sure they're cooperating and following rules and things like that, but.
Get them in lifeguard training.
I know, exactly.
Perfect idea.
So we're gonna continue for now, just on those Wednesdays, I think, through the remainder of the school year. And I know Aaron Link is working on, trying to find volunteers to assist with, some of the oversight of that programming, and we're even looking at hiring some part-time staff that can facilitate that. We're even looking at the idea of how we could maybe involve high school students in developing almost like a mentorship program. So I think there's a lot of neat things we can build off of it. And so, yeah, just another great thing. And, you know, I've always thought of our community center almost as a whole being a teen center after school, just given the proximity of the schools across the parking lot there.
Marshall, what are the hours on the Wednesday, right after school until?
Till about 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
all right. And is that free for the kids, or is there any fees
Currently
included?
free.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And Aaron has even partnered with some local restaurants, and so there's even some
Awesome.
food and
That's why you have
stuff for them.
50
So, I
or 60.
mean, that certainly is an attractant.
Yeah,
Um,
food.
But,
If you do find people who are interested in volunteering or potentially volunteering, who should they be in contact with?
Aaron Link.
Aaron Lake?
Yep.
Okay.
And she's our recreation program
Okay.
manager. Let's see, there's two more things highlighting curling. So Winter 2 league registration wrapped up, and schedules were just sent out to the teams this week. And so this league runs January 2nd through early April. We see a lot of people a lot of the teams transition from the Winter 1 league to the Winter 2 league. But throughout those 4 months, 872 games get scheduled across those leagues. So, again, just kudos to the staff that, you know, put that all together and put all the schedules together. It's pretty dynamic. And then also, just with the Winter Olympics coming up, curling is definitely, we're definitely seeing an increased excitement over there. Jeff has informed me that the corporate curl outings, we're at capacity throughout the month of December for those types of events. And a lot of things are getting booked into January. We're seeing a lot of people just interested in wanting to learn to curl. So they are very busy over at the curling center, just fielding a lot of requests for various events, which is great. Yep.
Has, with the Olympics in mind, has the Crooked Pine or the facility in general thought of any type of like watch parties?
Yeah, they're doing some dinner
Okay.
parties
Awesome.
and things
Great.
like that.
Great.
Yep. Yeah.
Very cool.
Is that it?
So that is all I have. Yeah.
Can I jump back about 4 steps?
Sure.
On the new commission members that we're trying to recruit. You mentioned that you were in contact with members of the community center on different subjects. They would be an ideal group to go out and tell them that we do have these openings on the park board. You know, and you can participate in, you know, helping build this because they're already active in the community and they would be a key group. Can we get something sent out to the members advising them that there's a couple of openings and it would be really cool if, you know, they would come join us, make not only the community center better, but, you know, the whole community better.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good
Great
idea. Yep. We'll put something together and yeah, we can easily email it through our listserv and make them
Yeah.
aware of it. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Mhm.
Okay, moving on to Commissioners Roundtable. Want to start here? Zach?
Yeah.
It's funny, as we're talking about naming rights in the curling center, I saw something in the news this last week about, there was a curling facility that, because of the type of advertising that they had on the ice, there was something that was meant to be televised from that curling sheet, and they ended up not televising because of what was advertised on the ice. There was something offensive about it, and somebody deemed it, you can't put that on television, so then they didn't televise it. Just made me laugh.
Yeah.
So, they were talking about naming rights and whatnot, so I'm sure we'll do our due diligence to make sure that doesn't happen to us, but I was really happy about the new rec guide that came out this last week, because I had 2 daughters that I signed up for swimming lessons, and it was just super easy. Literally just get it in the email, link onto it, can click onto things in the actual, as you're flipping through the digital magazine, you can click right on to the activity, and it just goes right into your cart, and you just sign up, and it took me like 5 minutes to get 2 girls signed up for swim lessons, so.
That's great to hear. Good
Yeah, it
feedback.
was super slick, so really nice job to whoever put that together. And you mentioned too that it seemed like they maybe made some advancements from the last guide, and I would agree with that, because last time it took me like 7 minutes. This time it only took me like 5 minutes.
Time saver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you signed them up for swim lessons.
Yep, got them signed up for swim lessons. I see at the community center, it's still so great seeing a lot of the full-time staff up front there. I know it's probably not what they signed up for, but it's great to see them up front, and they're always just having fun, chatting with everybody, and I'm sure they long for the days when they don't have to be up front there anymore, greeting everybody as they come in and out, but it's just still nice to see them up there. Like I always see Aaron and Zach up there and a number of other people that they're always at the front desk. I don't know if that's going to be still there 6 months down the road, or if you guys have no idea, but it's just nice to see everybody's kind of doing their part, you know, and, you know, everybody's, money's tough to come by for, you know, municipal governments and facilities like this, and it's probably challenging to find staff to do that, but it's just still really nice to see them up there, because they would just do such a nice job. But you mentioned lifeguards earlier. A couple Fridays ago, I saw one of the lifeguards, I think his name is Jacob maybe, training in. It looked like he had a new class. And I don't know if it was meant to be lifeguards for the community center, or if it was just a class that was being offered, but it was a Friday night. It's like 8 o'clock at night, and he's got, you know, 10 or 12, they looked like maybe high schoolers, and he's there like running them through a class. And I just thought that was the coolest thing, because here he'd been one of the instructors for one of my daughters for this last session of swim lessons. And here he was turning around and teaching a class, you know, for new lifeguards. So I thought that was pretty cool, so.
Yeah.
It just really fun to see that process happen. And
Yeah,
then,
that was open to the community, so to speak, for people that's interested in it, but that's, you know, we're hoping we can recruit.
yeah, because it looked like some of them, I was like, they might be a little young for lifeguards, but I know we have a lot of high schoolers that are lifeguards for us, obviously. I mean, maybe that may be the majority of them, but some of these look like they might even been in junior high.
Yeah.
And not judging, but just, I love that they were there on a Friday night rather than out doing what I did when I was that age on a Friday night. They were at the community center learning how to be a lifeguard. I thought that was pretty cool. So. And then I don't know what that thing is they have at the front desk at the community center right now. It's a stamp. Like for, I think each time you come in, when you do a certain activity, you can get stamps. There's double stamps, but you can earn some kind of rewards.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it swag? Is it like the 30th anniversary swag?
Yep,
stuff?
yep.
But-
It's a little December promotion,
Yeah.
encouraging members to try different things as part of their membership.
Yeah, just thought that was really cool. I think it was Rebecca that works at the front desk part-time, had showed it to me, and she gave me a stamp and everything, but I've seen several people like, oh, don't forget your stamps, you know, and catching other members as they're coming in, and I just thought that was pretty neat, just a neat, fun way to, you know, promote people coming to the community center and participating, so I thought that was really cool. And then, last thing I'll add is that I did get some sledding in this last weekend with my daughters, and it's fun getting out there, just watching people get out and be active, and I just still think there might be an opportunity for us to do something with these sledding hills, whether it's manicure them a little bit, put some hay bales out there, or even like lights, you know, something, just so people can do it at night too, because once you hit 4:30, 5 o'clock, it's like, you can't do that stuff anymore. But it's wonderful to see people out doing stuff, but man, I just think there might be an opportunity for us at some point to, even if we just get something going and working with the school district or Jonathan Association, somebody to kind of maybe do something, even just manicuring the hills just a little bit, you know, and then giving some organization out there, like, hey, walk up the sides, don't walk up the middle of the thing, you know, because it puts all the lumps and the waves in the thing, so it messes up the track for everybody else, you know, and there's just something, even just a little, some semblance of some organization out there. I would love it if we would be a part of that at some point, but I'll be happy just to go out there no matter what, so that's all I got, thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Georgianne?
I enjoyed, a couple weeks ago now, beginning of December, the outdoor Christmas festival they had the llamas and the wagon ride with all the kids. That was well attended. I think that's more of a city event, but yeah, they could have used more of the wagons. There's long lines to wait for that. But it was a nice day, and it was a fun event, well attended. And then of course the Christmas tree lighting. It's always something fun. And again, just the amount of people who come amaze me. And then they had the choir there, the high school choir, which was fabulous. I don't remember being there last year, but it was really nice, just get you in the Christmas spirit. So, and like I said, people come. It was apparently very popular. And I do love the new equipment at the community center. I think I might need a tutorial though on how to work some of those machines, because they're very different.
Sure.
I don't know how to turn on the TV on half of them, you know, so there's some, unless you spend a lot of time pushing buttons, maybe some directions put out on those tables.
Yeah.
Would be good.
Yep,
I don't think I'm the only one.
yep.
I've seen people move from.
Yeah,
this one to
I'll
that.
share that feedback with our fitness supervisor.
Okay, yeah, that's beautiful.
That'd be good.
Stuff.
And they charge your phone now.
Yes.
You just set your phone on and it just charges, like, "What? I'm not plugging anything in, this is great."
Yeah, high tech.
High tech.
Carly?
I got to go to the Arboretum's light show, and that was really, really pretty, and something like super close by. I actually did it with like South Metro bussed you there, and that was really nice, and like bussed you back, and there's a lot of people there, and it was really pretty, and I just made me really appreciate living over here, because some of the other light festivals are not always so nice, you know? So yeah, that's cool to have a resource like that, like so close.
That's awesome. Jason?
The only thing I have this week is just great to see the Cortina Woods playground up and going. Saw a bunch of kids over there playing on it, and so yeah, it's just always nice to see. That's one great thing of being on park board, is that you get to see these things develop from just tiny little seeds, and then, you know, to kids playing on it and the whole process. So that's just very cool to see, and it looks great.
I think we should have recorded you saying that for the advertisement for.
Yeah, remember that.
That's awesome, that's great.
Yeah.
I don't have anything this week, so.
Speaking of Christmas spirit, you'll be seeing something coming out pretty shortly, but we are gonna be doing our holiday parade again. We did that last year,
Right?
and that was a effort put out through our Chaska Cares team. Again, another big component of that was just creating community spirit. But we've decided we're gonna do it again this year, and I think the fact we're doing it this year, it's probably gonna be a standard every year going forward. But, so yeah, that'll be some fire trucks, some
Yeah,
police
that's
vehicles.
right, That's right.
I utilize my vehicle, and we get them decorated with the lights. And, yeah, Santa will be in the parade.
Where is the
Yeah.
parade route?
It pretty much goes through the entire town. We try to hit almost every neighborhood. It's a 4-hour parade.
Oh my gosh.
There was an app
It'll
or
be-
something last year
yeah,
that showed you
and-
like where they were at.
Yeah, and Kevin Wright has it all where it's like GPS
Of course, Kevin.
tracking.
does.
So you can literally anticipate when we're coming close.
That's right. That was a lot of
But
fun last
it
year.
was awesome last year, just how many people came out, and
Yeah.
we'd see kids just running down the street trying to keep up with Santa. It was pretty cool. So,
Cool.
It's a great thing.
Mary, you got anything for us today?
No, I don't.
Okay. Last item on the agenda is to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Zach is the motion. Second?
Second.
Jason seconds. All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Park Commission is adjourned.
Marshall,